Hi, and welcome to Turbo School. I'm Fred, and I know everything. Not really, but I know a few things. So, we're gonna have 5 episodes of Turbo. How to boost 5 ways of boosting your engine. So, in the last episode, we talked about sequential turbos. That is not to be compared to twin turbos. Twin turbos is if you have an inline six, let's say you have a Nissan Skyline or you have a Toyota Supra, and you have a 2JZ that has two turbos. It's a twin turbo. It has two turbos of the same size. One turbo is connected to number 1, 2, and 3 of your cylinders, and the other one to 4, 5, and 6. The same with the Nissan Skyline. If you have the RB26D TT twin turbo, yeah, because the RB25DT is 1T turbo. It has a single turbo, and today we're going to talk about single turbos. Most guys that have cars like a Supra or a Skyline, they convert the car from twin turbos to single turbo. And why do they do that? Is there any benefits of running a single turbo? And what are the drawbacks? So, sequential turbos was in the last episode. That's amazing. Today we're going to talk about single turbos. And single turbos is what like 95% of the guys out there is running. And it doesn't really matter if you're running petrol or diesel or whatever. So the single turbo biggest drawback is that you always have to compromise. You can never ever just get that perfect setup. I want 1,000 horsepower. Okay, then you need a turbo that can deliver 1,000 horsepower. I want boost at 1500 RPM. That turbo will not do that. Trade-off. So maybe you have to settle for 600 and you can have a turbo that spools relatively soon. So that's like the drawback. You always have to compromise. Another drawback, because single turbo is not that good. So this is gonna be more like how bad it is video. Another drawback is the boost you can achieve. So there are turbos out there with a ginormous compressor map. They are few and far between, though. The normal turbos can boost 2.5, 3 bars, 3.5, and like that's it. And of course, now we're talking efficiency and so on. You can push hot air 4 bars if you want, but it will not give you anything. So one of the biggest drawbacks is this, that you cannot boost as much as you might want. And we're running diesel cars. If you have a petrol car, you boost 2 bars, happy days, it's gonna be really good for you. And 2.5, it's like, wow. On a diesel car, it's like, oh, I'm only boosting 3 bars. It would be really nice if I could do 4. And that makes it very, very hard with the single turbo setup. We will in another episode. I didn't check the list, so I don't know if it's the next one. It doesn't matter. We're going to talk about compound. And compound is something that can help you create boost. But single turbos, they are on their own. That's in the name. So it's a trade-off. You are limited on the compressor map. So that means that you have to compromise even more. This turbo that can achieve the boost I want does not come in this size or in this size. It doesn't have ball bearings. It doesn't have a billet compressor wheel. It doesn't have blah blah whatever. it's yet another compromise. Petrol cars, I mean, it's always easier. You don't have to create that much boost. But we need. So, single turbo, what's the biggest advance or the biggest pro of having a single turbo setup? It's easy. You have one turbo. You buy a ready manufactured exhaust manifold. You don't even hack that up yourself. You just buy it. It comes in the mail. You bolt it to your engine and you bolt your turbo on top or underneath or where the fuck it sits on that exhaust manifold. And it's done. It's like it's nothing to think about. Oh, I need some charge piping. Yeah, it's one from the turbo. It's not, you don't have to do nothing. You route your oil and water to the turbo and off you go. It's gonna take a half a day to install. So it's easy. And I think that's like most things in life. If it's easy, it's a trade-off. And on cars, it's the same. Sequential is a little bit more complicated. I just barely scraped the surface yesterday. Today, I think I've explained single turbo a little bit more. And yet we are only on 6 minutes. So what else can we talk about? You have different kind of turbos, and this is more important in a single turbo setup than it is in a compound or sequential or any other setup that we're going to talk about, because it is a trade-off. You need to think, what is the best for you? What is the least trade-off for you? Is it the boost? Can you go down on boost? I mean, if you can do that, you have more options. So you want as fast spool as possible. That means that you need a modern turbo. You will probably need a ball bearing turbo, and you will probably need a turbo with a billet compressor wheel, because the billet compressor wheels weigh from 30% to 50%, depending on how big they are and who makes them and so on. There are Chinese that are really crude and big and heavy, and I mean, that doesn't really count. But 30 to 50% lighter, depending on your turbo. So that means it's less rotating mass in your turbo. It's less drag for your exhaust gases to push on, so it will spin up faster. If it's ball bearing, it's even less drag because it actually moves lighter, easier. Now, I mean, we all know we all haven't, but a lot of us have dynoed cars with journal bearing turbos and ball bearing turbos and so on, and the difference is not huge. It's not like I buy a ball bearing turbo and I have boost at 500 rpm. Not gonna happen. First of all, your turbo has to spin at a certain speed. Under this speed is not efficient. It just doesn't push air. So ball bearings, no ball bearings, billet, no billet. If you don't get the turbo up to the speed where it starts to actually build boost, it doesn't matter what kind of technology you have. So it's not like swinging your magic wand and calling out Harry Potter, because it doesn't work like that. But if you do everything you can, you will be better off. So if you have a modern turbo, and we're talking extended tip technology, billet compressor wheel, if you can find something with an exotic turbine wheel, even better. They are expensive though. So a normal one will do. Ball bearing, it's that will help you. And when we're talking about those turbos, it's like Borg-Warner EFR that can't withstand boost. So that is like off the shelf immediately. It's not on the table for us. So we have precision turbo and Garrett turbos left. Precision turbos don't publish their compressor maps, which is a bitch. So we don't really know anything about them. But experience say that they can handle quite a lot of boost. They do flow a lot on the turbine side. So if you're going to go with a 63 turbine housing, you go one step down, always on your precision, one step down, because they flow like crazy. And if they flow too much, you lose efficiency, equals it's going to spool later. So you have to think about that. The other contender is Garrett. Hyper modern, very good turbos, available in so many different series. It's crazy. And they are very easy to choose because you can find almost all sizes. The numbers on Garrett, this is like a commercial for Garrett. Let's say it's a 3071. The 30 is how big it is on the turbine side. So it's a 30 series. That means that all 30 are the same on the turbine side. So you can have 3071, 3076, 3082 if you put a custom wheel in it. But it's like all of them is the same on the turbine side. So you can choose like, I need this. I need a 28 because that's the correct turbine side for me. And 28 or 60, 63, 67, 71. So now they count a little bit different than other manufacturers. So if it's a 71, it's 71 millimeter out on the compressor and not 71 millimeter in like most count. So you can see two turbos that both give 600 horsepower. One say 3076 and the other one say blah blah 58. And you think, what the fuck, this is 58 millimeters. Yeah, but that's because this motherfucker is 58 in and the other one is 76 out. So it's they count a little bit different. But this is like the trade-off for going Garrett is that you can't boost more than 2.5 bar. And at some Garretts you can't boost more than 2. They have the GTW series. There you can do over 3 bars. That's the only series that can actually do lots of boost. They are a little bit more expensive. They're a little bit more exotic. It's a little bit harder to get parts. It's like, I want this turbine housing, doesn't exist. You know, so it's like, it's a little bit harder series to work with, but there are amazing turbos. And with incredible responses, like crazy. So single turbo trade-off. If you don't want that crazy fast spool, as fast as possible, it's not crazy fast, as fast as possible, then you can go for a Holset or Borg-Warner. They will spool significantly slower, but they can handle a lot more boost. So I mean, if top-end power is everything you're after, then you go with that because you can boost. So the trade-off is in your hands. What can you trade off? That's the life of the single turbo man, the trade-offs. That's all for 5 episodes of boosting your engine from the casting couch. Mia Khalifa is coming soon and she's gonna use this sofa for the last time. I wish you all a pleasant Sunday because it's like Thursday. So have a nice day and see you in a couple of days.